Welcome back. I'm playing more of the Roottrees. I'm kind of obsessed and I love this mystery or like the puzzles that we're having to do. It tickles my brain. I hope it does yours too. So let's keep going. Okay, we got a whole whack of evidence that we can take a look at. And we solidified a bunch more people earlier. We read this one. We read just this part. And then I solved a bunch of stuff. During the summer where I went to stay with her sister and Aunt Margot, I hoped she would be the sister I never had and that I'd do the same for her. I even tried to dye my hair blonde to fit in with the two of them. What a mess. She just complained. To her, I was the lucky cousin. So, Margot is Gwen's mom. So let's try and get that in there. Marguerite. Oh, I bet is actually the mom. Is the root tree. Let's add it to our notes. She's in her third gen. Now she's off living the glamorous life while I'm stuck here with Clark. I must admit, seeing her everywhere contributes to my unhappiness. Her visage stares at me even now from my coffee table. She gets to be in starlet and tell tales of how she gallivants around the world, kissing the likes of Harrison Lane and Wild Bill Williams. She's the first Roottree woman to be anything other than just a housewife, and I'm jealous. If I were not a single mother, could I make my own way in this world? I should look these up. Starlet was a magazine that started with the colorization of film and went on until around 1964. Generally, it was a tabloid with a focus on famous actors and actresses. It didn't go much into any other aspects of filmmaking or Hollywood news. What was the dude? Boop. You find some information. Yeah, we've been to this website. Wild Bill Williams was the leading man of some non-notable movies in the 1950s. He appeared in the adventure movie called Fortune Favors the Grave, which has yet to be released for home audiences. You don't find any additional information about that film. He was known for his good looks and off-screen romances, specifically with blondes. He was married 4 different times to 4 different actresses. There's a famous Hollywood rumor that he even approached Marilyn Monroe at a party and that she was already aware of his reputation. Wild Bill grew up in Paris. He returned there often. Fortune favors the grave. Okay. Could he be her husband? But I'm off topic. A girl with all the luck in the world was jealous of me. And now, though I have been undoubtedly burdened by the terrible tragedy, I am lucky I'm also lucky to be born into a family that can support me for eternity. I can raise a child without worry, unlike countless other widows. If any of them were to hear me complaining, they would rightfully scoff, just like I do at Gwyn. An entry entitled Dynasty from Lauren Roottrees' diary, written in 1958. It focuses on the day her grandfather, Elias, announced he would step down as president of the Roottrees Candy Company and the meeting to determine his successor. I wish I had been a fly on the wall today. Clancy told me that everyone got quite heated. Granddad was furious none of his sons would take over as president, but that's what he gets for holding on to it so long. With architects, preachers, and lawyers, nobody's got time for candy. So with the 5 pieces refusing to step up, it came down to us next gens. Pop argued at length that the company should stay within our branch of the family, since we still have the Roottrees name. I'm not even sure Clancy would have wanted it, but he's the one who was volunteered. Instead, it ended up going to Zach. That's a new guy. Even though his surname doesn't match the candy, he's the firstborn son of the firstborn 5-piece. I'm not sure how that's relevant to running a company, but Granddad has always been very particular when it comes to his bloodline. I asked Clancy if it ever came up that a woman could take over. After all, Angie's older than Zach, and I'm the next oldest of us all. But he just laughed. I'll never forget the cuss words Pop used when he told Ma it wouldn't go to us. Mother, ever the quick-witted, at least with catty remarks, countered back, maybe they wanted it to go to the only member of the family who looks like he samples the product. An entry entitled Sam from Lauren Roottrees' diary, written in 1963. From a previous entry, you learn that Elias Roottrees had given in to his wife and announced that Sam, an obscure relative, was to be included in family gatherings. Gwyneth had been pushing to include Sam for quite some time, Lauren writes. Why Sam? I have many distant relatives that I've never met. After all, Granny had sisters and Granddad had a brother or two, but I was told, trim their branches from the family tree. So why is Sam special? Nothing adds up, and I'm not the only one to realize. Angie summoned all the next gens to a secret meeting in Zach's office. Wynn's in Paris, but the rest of us, including Miracle's boys, spent ages trying to unravel the mystery. I didn't recognize Sam at Uncle Junior's wedding to Patsy last year. There's a lot there. At the reception, when I asked who Sam was, Pop shushed me and said it was complicated. Clancy swore he saw Sam working alongside the farmhands, E.C. and John, when he used to drive past the old Anderson farm on his way to work. Upon hearing that, Zach checked the records and managed to confirm all 3 are on the books. Eli, Miracle's youngest, not my brother, even chimed in. Apparently, when he was riding his mini bike alongside the farm a few weeks ago, Sam gave him some old tools and taught him how to make the bike's engine faster. None of us think that proper for a multitude of reasons, but Eli certainly seemed thrilled. At the end of the day, nothing explains why an outsider has cozied into family affairs, especially one who works on the farm of all places. Whatever happened to blood is thicker than syrup. Why is Granddad making an exception now? Oh, maybe I should look at Miracle. I'm going to come back to this. This is a treasure trove for sure. One of the final entries called Clark from Lauren Roottrees' diary, written in 1964. Clark's getting married, and, in my opinion, far too young. He's barely 18, for God's sakes, and Danielle isn't much older. But openly confronting them would make me a hypocrite. After all, Jacob and I got married at 16. Clark, like the rest of his generation, is a free spirit. What else do you call a group of kids growing up with more money than any one person can spend? They all aspire to be musicians and artists and dancers and all sorts of nonsense. The only one who has any discipline is Carl, but that's because Pop forced Clancy to send him to the academy. Maybe I'm just getting old, but our generation was never so bad. My brothers all seemed to pursue paths of knowledge, and the most rebellious thing any of us ever did was bring home someone who would be illegal to marry if we lived anywhere south of Pennsylvania. Pop seems to have gotten over it because Edward is set to take over his department once he retires. And as for me, my first published book, Swashbuckle My Heart, is based on the pirate stories I used to invent with Jacob when we were walking in the woods after school. I think he'd be proud that Clark and I are carrying on his name. Even my cousins are doing well. Zach's not a bad president after all, and his sister seems to be doing a good job raising her twins. Gwen is Gwen, but at least she's come out of the divorce with her head held high. She even told us she might come home next year so we can meet her kids. The free spirits, and any other family, they'd all end up to the streets, even Clark. Let's look up Swashbuckle My Heart. Nope. Re-released as X marks the spot. According to the book, A Buried Treasure by Lauren Roottrees, and from the author of the Court series. It also says, keep an eye out for Lauren Roottrees' next book, Revisiting the Diary 10 Years Later. This was the version of the diary released in 1975. Unlike the original, it contains no pictures. There's many new passages that reflect her thoughts 10 years later. One major event happened between releases that changed Lauren's outlook on certain subject, the death of Elias. A summary of the fallout has been added to your notes, as well as some other pages. I guess we can try. Okay. Let's try Zach. Okay. Isaac. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna have to come back. Stephanie Jones for City Council, Bedford, Butler County. This was buried under a ton of other mail that Carl left in his inbox. It had a handwritten note attached that seemed personal. It is a flyer about a candidate for local office, Stephanie Jones. On the back of it is an excerpt from a newspaper article. Oh, can I flip it over? From the Butler County Times about her campaign. Stephanie may have grown up in an unconventional family, to say the least, but in her words, it was still full of love. And now, 22 years later, with a baby of her own due around Christmas, her message for voters is simply, love is our future. The handwritten note says, Carl, I know we don't see eye to eye when it comes to the candy company, but if you could talk to your girls about putting out a statement supporting Stephanie, she could use the publicity your daughters bring. Don't let our conflict spread to the next generation. CM. Okay. What is this? Stephanie Jones. We learned from an election results page that Stephanie Jones, a candidate for city council, won her campaign on election day about a month ago. No mention of the Roottrees. She also has a very bare bones website for her campaign. It's simply a picture of her campaign mailer And underneath it says, be sure to read the full article in the Butler County Times. Yeah, of course. Butler County. The most recent mention of Stephanie Jones is a small report detailing the election results from last month's election. Stephanie apparently won her election. You also find the full version of the newspaper clipping on the back of the campaign mailer. While most of it's unimportant, you do find the following. Stephanie Jones, born Stephanie Landon, until her marriage to local business owner Brian Jones, has lived in Butler County her whole life. All right. This stuff's juicy. Carl is 4th. That means this is the 5th gen. Stephanie grew up in a home without a father. With my mother and her partner, I essentially had an entirely female influence. Though she is a distant cousin of the Roottrees, her mother, Carolyn, a local artist who appeared on the front page of the Butler Times in the past, has often come out opposed to the corporation's policies regarding deforestation of indigenous trees to expand their maple farms. Unlike my mother, I'm not a fighter. I want to bring love to the world. True politician. Okay. Okay. Let's look up Carolyn Landon. Nothing relevant. Okay. I guess let's look up Brian Jones. Brian Jones is a famous athlete who broke a pole vaulting record in 1954. He doesn't seem really good. There are many advertisements over the years, as well as a small article from 1995 about Jones Graphic and Print. The article is a piece about Brian Jones taking over his father's print company after 20 years. Brian seems to not have let it go to waste as a marketing opportunity during an interview portion. I've been in and out of that shop my whole life. My father taught me everything there is to know when it comes to getting a job done right, getting it done quick. But I've been a printing staple of Butler County for years, and even the Butler County Times uses us for their coupon pages a few times a year. Thanks, by the way. But still, whether you're a new client or one of our regulars, nothing will change. Come on down for the best prices on bulk printing anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania, or search for us online. I designed the website myself. Okay. Where's the Jones Graphic and Print? Search. Jones Graphic and Print is a company that, according to its website, has existed in Butler County for some time. The website seems fancy. It even has frames. The website lists the address, hours, and a few examples of clients and the type of work that was done. Stephanie Jones campaign mailers, Roottrees Candy Company, banners and posters, Butler County light post banners, Miracle Network tour flyers, Roottrees Motors coupon flyers, Butler County School District, Butler Summer Theater posters and set contributions for Children of Eden. The bottom it says, we also do web design. Come on in, get a quote today. Oh, there's a lot here. Juicy, juicy. Oh, I have a new periodical. Ugh, I'm gonna have to look up her. So much of that. Oh, what's his name? Brian Jones. Okay. What is her name? Win. Okay. Gwen Roottrees was often in starlet. Most mentions were around the time of her divorce in 1958 from Wild Bill Williams. Yeah, I fucking thought. So let's... Okay, so he's got a different name. The gossip is speculative and full of tabloid stereotypes. Some of it focuses on the fact that when she announced her divorce, she also announced she was pregnant again. Others mention that the rumor is Wild Bill had multiple affairs, which left her heartbroken. There's also an interview from earlier in mid-1957 where she was asked about her last name. The power of a name is undeniable. My grandfather constantly preached the importance of family names and honoring them. My father decided to bless me with a famous name. There's nothing wrong with Cornwall, but Roottrees has power. My husband simply goes by Wild Bill. It's an infamous name he repurposed for himself because he didn't have the benefit of being born with a famous one. But Wild, combined with the alliteration Williams, is incredibly memorable. Although we've relocated to Paris, I know your readers love to keep up with my husband, so consider this a Starlet exclusive about both of us. Wild Bill and I have a child on the way, and we're sticking with Roottrees as the last name, not Williams. But we also plan to lean into alliteration. That's how we'll honor both of our family names for the next generation. Okay. Okay, mentioned many times. First mentions one of his first roles was under his real name, Walter Forsythe. Okay. The second is an interview. Although he doesn't mention her by name, you determine from context he's talking about Gwen. An apology to all the ladies. I'm actually taken. Earlier this year, I did a friend a favor. He was directing a war movie and asked me to play a small part. Wouldn't you know it, that son of a bitch cut me from the picture. I'm just ripping. It wasn't his fault. Apparently, the studio didn't want to pay for a star of my caliber. I got the last laugh, though. I met someone. She spent most of the film crying. She was playing a soldier's wife. But even through the tears, she was incredible. I know I tend to have a reputation, but this one's true love. I only have eyes for her. Ironically, the third is a rumor that his divorce from Gwen was due to multiple affairs, including one with another actress. An American reader on vacation in Paris claims to have overheard Wild Bill and Gwen arguing in public while she was holding a baby and visibly pregnant. Not long after, Gwen announced she was divorcing Wild Bill, and also she was pregnant again, giving it credibility. Yeah, so she had 2 kids. One sec. I'm texting my wife. Maine, I guess. This is about films. What about Clark? What's his name? Rafferty. Okay. Oh, there's gonna be a lot of stuff in here. The new diary opens with an explosive incident that happened in the decade between the release and the re-release of Lauren's diary. Elias Roottrees had died, and during the reading of his will, there was an audible gasp when certain name was read aloud: Samantha Roottrees. Although Sam and her children were not meant to receive monetary inheritance, he had a stipulation that she retain the rights to run the farm and any and all decisions related to it. It was then that the scandalous secrets came out. None of the 5 pieces were surprised, but it was quite a shock to everyone else, including Sam. She had been told her parents died. Apparently, Sam was the illegitimate daughter of Elias Jr. and Patricia Christensen. Patricia, the daughter of a local steel mogul, and Eli Jr. had harbored a secret romance at age 16. She became pregnant, and after the birth, her father refused to let her see Eli Jr. ever again. Her baby, Samantha, was sent to the Roottrees. Elias hid her away with a local farmhand known as E.C. Patricia was married off to a much older man and sent away. That was the end of it, almost. None of the next gens had ever met or heard of Patricia until she unexpectedly reappeared, now going by Patsy. Okay. After Patsy's husband died, she reunited with Eli Jr. and they finally married in their 50s. Lauren mentioned the wedding in her first diary without knowing Patsy's history. Eli Jr. had never taken another lover. Oh. Lauren, ever the romantic, quite appreciated this. When Patsy and Eli Jr. finally married, Elias decided Sam should have been a Roottrees in the first place. Even though she was not part of the clan's trust, he wanted to include her in family affairs. That was what led to Lauren's initial entry entitled Sam. Okay. Oh. So, this is Elias Jr. Patricia Christensen. Sam. Okay. Okay. So she ran the farm. Farmer. EC is one of the fucking flavors, I believe. Okay, so let's go back to Sam. Angie summoned all the next gen. I want to look at Roottrees motors. Sweet. There's an ad for Roottrees motors in the paper. It seems Roottrees motors used to be called Wilkins Motors. An ad has run every week in Butler County Times for many years. Recently changed to include a picture. There are 3 unique versions of the ad. Okay. Roottrees Motors ad from 74 to 77. Former name Roottrees was Wilkins Motors. Still the same family business, but it joined the Roottrees family. Okay. So someone married a Wilkins. We may have a new name, but we promise we're still the same family business. All that's different is that we join a sweeter family. Funny noises, need no oil. Come on down, we'll fix her up. Call the fixers at 555-FIXER-UP. Okay. Roottrees Motors. Your local family mechanic servicing the entire Pittsburgh area. Oh, what does it say? Yeah, local family. Tessa Roottrees. At Roottrees Motors ad from 96. Roottrees Motors has been around for 50 years, a family business, and Tessa Roottrees, their newest fixer, learned all there is to know from her Roottrees Motors parents. Your local family mechanics. Okay. So this. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's so much in this diary. Okay. Sam. This is a page of additional notes and context from the 1975 10-year anniversary companion piece. Clearly, I did not know our true family history when I wrote this. I didn't even know Sam was a Rootree. All of my deaths were ill-founded. She's a fine woman. Had she the chance to grow up with us, Sam might have been the sister figure Gwen never was. Ernie and the kids are lucky to have her, and her children seem eager to help the family in their own ways. Ernie Jr. has been learning the day-to-day from Zach. It has been a long, long time since any real Rootree was as excited and interested in the actual candy as Ernie. As a bonus, Gwyneth has the green thumb of her mother and her adopted grandfather. Okay. What I'm most ashamed of is not figuring it all out myself. Sam's a spitting image of Patsy with her jet black hair and green eyes. She doesn't have the thick glasses Patsy did, of course, but I guess that skips a generation. Her children have that covered. It's hard to explain the look on Pop's face when they read that the farm's operations would pass to Samantha Rootree for as long as she was willing. I got flashbacks to when Zach was made president. Mother reframed it a bit to calm him down. Sam wouldn't receive any candy money, after all, was essentially inheriting the right to rule over the peasants for eternity. Pop warned us away from that farm for years. I never met E.C. in person, but Pop once referred to him as a confirmed bachelor, and I suspect that's why he kept us from there. Sam had to grow up in a house with him and his roommate, Mr. Miller. I'm not sure Sam will ever forgive Uncle Junior or Patsy for abandoning her to that life. If I were her, I might never forgive them either. But even so, she seems to blame more than just the two of them. She has no problems with us next gens, but she has a palpable hatred for the Five Pieces and Elias and Gwyneth. Okay. Sam's a spitting image of Patsy. Okay. And this is something to think on. Oops. We dealt with this. It's somewhere else. Clark. Yeah, I'd love to know more about this guy. Additional notes and context. Companion piece to the entry about her son, Clark. Reading this back, I get deja vu. As I write this addendum, Clark's gotten married again. No Rootree has ever remarried. Sure, I lost Jacob, and Gwen divorced Wild Bill just before she had her second. Not even I can blame her for that. I've seen what he gets up to in Starlit. But neither of us ever took a second husband. With the way the world is moving, I guess it was inevitable someone in this family would remarry. I just wish it wasn't my son. I can only wonder if Clark's apparent disrespect for marriage is due to the lack of a real father. I did what I could, and Lord knows Eli C. stepped up and helped. More than I can say for Clancy or Edward. so many names. Eli C. practically raised Clark and Jim as brothers whenever he could. Eli's marriage seems fine, and Jim's marriage seems solid as a rock. So who knows what causes these things? I suspect he's marrying Jane to keep her from running out on the band. Without her, he'd be the third wheel, and I imagine they wouldn't last long as a trio. But still, I don't think a marriage on such a shaky foundation can last. Lord knows I was right last time. So he married someone named Danielle, and now he's naming someone named Jane. Let's see. There's only one Danielle. There's only one Jane. Oh. Because she's a LaRue too. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get this in this advanced. Practically raised Clark and Jim. Let's say yes. Not a companion piece, but addresses feedback. The biggest complaint I got after publishing my diary was how many similar names there are. And I get it, there's 4 Eli's for Pete's sake. But that's how it is. Someone would say, I saw Eli in town, and I wouldn't know which one they meant. My brother, my uncle, my cousin. That's why they became Uncle Junior or Miracle's Eli or Eli C. Our family's names were always unusual. Grandpa Elias was a believer in using the names of each generation to honor those in the last. His father and Grandma Gwyneth's father were named Edward and Clancy. So now you see where my pop's name came from. One thing that always has been consistent in our family, though, is that anytime someone's a junior, they're always the firstborn son. That goes for Miracle, Eli, or even Clancy. With the women, however, it all goes out the window. I think Gwendolyn got her name from some combination of Gwyneth and Caroline, but who was Elias's mother? Oh, some combination of Gwyneth and Caroline. Who was Elias's mother? Women's names tend to all get mixed up as the generations went on. I guess that's because there's no female equivalent to Junior. So if you're reading my diary and confused, you're not alone. Even the government had problems. I remember once receiving certified mail for an Edward Clancy Roottrees. I had to break the news they got my father's name backwards. I don't think so. There's an EC. A fun bonus. Apparently, this is the first thing she could find that she ever wrote. She knows it was for a school assignment about anger, and she believes that based on the teacher's name, she must have been in the 3rd grade. She doesn't exactly remember the events spelled out here, but she does remember getting in trouble. I got angry when I met a new girl who I did not like. She was dirty and did not have a pretty dress. Me and Pop walked home in town, and she hugged him. When I told her he was my Pop, she pushed me. I got angry and yelled at her, and Pop said to treat her nice. Then she said, "Your Pop is my dad." She screamed it loud in my ear. She was lying to me, and lying is not a nice thing. So I pushed her too. Then I got in trouble. Then Pop took her away. He told me, "Don't worry," and I am glad she's gone. Illegitimate children. Film school. This photo has a note attached from your employer. Here's a bonus. When I pulled the water damage picture of the free spirits out of the frame, this fell out too. Written on the back of the photo is, "Couldn't make the reunion. Wishing you well from Paris. Gwen and the boys." So this is Gwen, and these are her 2 kids. Okay. So a new Gwen photo. Wedding ring? No. Okay. This photo was tucked inside an envelope with a letter beneath a candle in the corner of his office. The letter says, "To Carl and Brenda, I'm sorry that you were unable to attend the funeral. It's traditional to have it as soon as possible, and Ernie, more than anyone else on earth, knew how busy your job can be. I've enclosed a Shiva candle identical to ours if you'd like to pay your respects, although it's not expected for those outside the faith to do so." Ernie was a man full of love, not only for his family, but for his family's legacy. He had an immense amount of pride for the work you 3 did together, as well as how Carl has carried on for him after taking over. Okay. As for myself, it is impossible to express my gratitude enough for rescuing us from the panic and burden of endless bills. Though we caught it too late for him to get on the donor list, the company took care of us well beyond our wildest expectations. It went unsaid at the time, but Ernie and I knew it had to have been Carl that convinced the trust, and that it was no coincidence that it happened shortly after your visit, Brenda. Up until the end, Ernie and I had to stay strong, especially for Nicole's sake. We could never have done that without the 2 of you fighting for us. Much love, Debbie. Okay, so this is Ernie Jr. Where was that? Whoa. My tummy. Oh. Label pictures. This is the 5 pieces. This picture was famous in our house. Pop even had it framed. That's him on the left. It was taken in 1935 to celebrate the move to the new warehouse that Eli Jr. designed. So this guy, Lauren's dad, this guy. And let's assume that this is Eli Jr. Because why wouldn't he be in the photo? Angie and I both wanted to be in the photo since Miracle was in it and the 3 of us were all about the same age. We were told only the 5 pieces, which really didn't go over well to say the least. Eventually, I suppose to stop the tantrums, they posed us in front of the camera with Mr. Morden, who was there with Aunt Gwendolyn. I found out years later they never even took a second photo. So Miracle is one of these ladies. Holy crap. Oh, every 20 or so years, the Roottrees would hold a big reunion and recreate an old family photo. This is the one from the 70s, and Carl's the teenager in the middle. These are all like the same dude. Sorry about the water damage, a pipe burst in Carl's office. On the back of the photo, childish print, it says November. A large number of cursive signatures, including Bonnie, next president Guy Hudson, Ernie Jr., Carolyn, Gwyneth M., Gwendolyn, Miracle Jr., Jim Roottree, Clark, Carl, and Eli M. Carl's the teenager in the middle, so let's say this dude. That's smack in the middle. Is this guy. Yeah, I'd say that's probably correct. Oh, lordy. Look at how many of them there are. What is this? Oh, another photo. This is the next gen. An attempt to recapture the spirit of the 5 pieces photo with our generation. For old time's sake, we gathered on the warehouse floor. I wanted Eli to stand all the way on the left, since to me, he looked a lot like Pop did in the old one. But I was outvoted by my brothers. They insisted the 4 of us stand together, so we clumped up in the middle and let everyone filter in behind and in front of us. The only one too good to make an appearance was Gwen, so Gwen's not in here. Grandma insisted we include Sam, even if we didn't want to. None of us understood why, including Sam. I didn't think it fair Miracle made it in. since he's technically a 5-piece. I guess my inner child still holds a grudge even after all these years. So this is Sam, because she has black hair. Jet black hair and green eyes. Oh. 9 out of 15? Booyah! Oh, Lord. Okay. Nothing over here. Nine more. So I'm going for 18 is my next. Miracle Jr. Yeah, there's a daughter with a G. There's Eli Jr. This is Edward Clancy, and this one's Clancy Edward. And M is for... We thought it was Miracle. There's still an M. There's 2 M's. Something happened. Okay. You can find a website for the Miracle Network, a production company run by Miracle Roottrees Estate. It's quite bare bones, but has a following. Witness the testimonies of Miracle's Roottrees. Miracle Roottrees arrived so late in his mother's life that doctors swore he wouldn't survive his first year. His mother and father, Elias and Gwyneth, named him Miracle as they thought him impossible. He was younger than his brothers and sisters by over 14 years. With a birth that late, the final child of his generation was nearly torn apart by countless health problems. But still, with the power of God on his side, he persevered. He triumphed over these complications and even regained his sight to spread the healing word of the Almighty. 23 years later, Miracle Roottrees Jr. arrived and became the famous family's second vessel for the higher power. At 18, he unburdened himself from the Roottrees name and took his father's testimony to a whole new level. Via the power of television, Miracle Jr. spread the gospel across the entirety of New England. He's since left the life of glamour and glitz behind to reach those places that need it most. The power of the Lord coming to a town near you. Then there's a flyer. Okay. So we got some chick with a G. So, Miracle. And then this is Miracle Jr. Oh, this is a lot. The flyer for the 3 generation of Miracles. Miracle Jr., who is said to be world famous and gets top billing. Miracle Jr. is on the notable Roottrees list. Miracle Rootree, who the flyer says will make a special appearance. Miracle Third and his wife Nicole, who are said to be the youth pastors. '68th year. Okay. So this is Miracle. There's 2 Nicoles. Preacher. Where's that preacher? Okay. Yeah, I read that. Miracle Rootree and his son, who goes exclusively by Miracle Jr., have appeared in Butler County Times as a great deal over the years. The Miracle Network, which is a collection of churches, television shows, and products that can be purchased, has multiple advertisements in each issue. You do find one article mentioning legal troubles. Unfortunately, it's a throwaway line in an article about a tour they plan to take across the southern United States called the 3 Generations of Miracles Tour. The author speculates they're going on tour to leave their legal troubles behind. Because of all the advertisements, the results in Butler County Times are not particularly relevant. Okay, so Miracle Jr. is this guy. Marvelous. Right. I want to stay with her and Aunt Margot. Let's see. Clancy Edward. I might be stuck. Butler Summer Theater performs plays and musicals during the summer. As it's not summer currently, their website has a thank you message. Thank you for making our 1998 season such a success. Stay tuned for announcements about performances in 1999. The website lists the credits of a musical, which seems to be the final show they performed last season. There's a cast, but none of the names seem relevant. Below the cast, it lists the crew, and two things stands out. Posters and additional set designs by Jones Graphic and Print. Choreography by November Studios. A local dance school. They advertise lessons for ballet and jazz. Hardly any other information is available. Whoops. Wouldn't you know? Instead of November Studios, maybe they should have called this place No Mention Studios. Okay. Not business? Oh. This photo. November. November Roottrees. There's something there, though. Ernie Jr. was former president of the Roottrees Candy Company. He seemed to directly precede Carl Roottree. One website even says he was Carl's mentor. Yes. Stepped down due to illness. Which one's which? So, Madsen's over there. So, Nicole. Nice. We're gambling now. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're listening to WRTG. It's time for your headlines. Once an hour, every hour, on the 45. It's a bizarre development to an already tragic day. In the wake of the accident that took his life, some of Carl Roottrees' belongings have apparently gone missing. Most notably, a framed photo of the Roottrees family from the mid-1970s that Carl had on his office wall. We interviewed a local psychologist about who would do such a thing and why. For that article, search online for WRTD News. Again, that's WRTD.
Well, I guess I gotta Google that. Got posters. Where is girl? This is gonna go forever. Yep, it is. WRTD is your local investigative jazz radio station. During their news segments at 45 minutes on the hour, they have been talking about the plane crash. This most recent hour, they also talked about a picture taken from Carl's office after the plane crash, promised an interview online with a psychologist. During the interview, it's revealed that there wasn't a break-in, Instead, someone with a key to the office took the picture after discovering the pipes burst due to the recent storm. This means it was likely someone close to the family who's aware of the photo's history and wanted to save it. The psychologist, however, also goes on to posit the culprit had an alternate agenda, specifically because nobody in the family has come forward to say that they have it in their possession. The comment below the article says, "Don't believe their lies. This is just another instance of the Roottrees curse being a real true thing. Bet you Carl was murdered and the picture had evidence of it." Well, I guess I'm Googling Roottrees curse. A long, rambly conspiracy website with very small, very red text on a black background says the Roottrees are cursed. It has been recently updated. Important update. With Carl and Brenda and their girls, that makes 5 new deaths. Not only that, but 3 of the 5 presidents of the Roottrees company have died mysteriously. They say Guy's car was hit by a drunk driver in 1982. But nobody was arrested. The music's really loud now. But nobody was arrested. Then Ernie Madsen Jr. stepped down. He was poisoned. Now, just this week, Carl died in a plane crash. This cannot be a coincidence. So there's a guy. There's another entry that claims if you connect the dots in the pattern of the 5 pieces wrapper, it creates a Mayan ruby skull. secret message meant to subliminally scare people away. The post before that has a link to a site that talks about how Earth has 4 corners, simultaneous 4 time cubes. The author of this site seems to agree. An entry from a few months ago claims that the owner of the site received an email from Chris Raff75 at prodigy.us asking him to take down his site with faked proof that Ernie Madsen Jr. actually had a heart condition and wasn't poisoned. So there's a Chris. The owner claims that although the proof looks quite credible, he knows that the proof was fake because he's an expert at creating fake evidence. Oh, conspiracy theorists. The first entry is from 1996 and is a blurry picture of the Roottrees Candy Company factory, seemingly taken from the website's author from behind a fence and through some trees. Seems that Operation RT-29 is real. I witnessed a helicopter land on February 29, 1996. All images and ideas by Thomas Overwood. Oh God. More conspiracy websites. Some people out there claim that the Roottrees are changing the candy recipe to include more and more chemicals, and that this was done in cooperation with bad actors from an unknown government. They claim that due to a loophole in the calendar, it is possible to get away with nearly any crime on a leap day so long as it isn't discovered until after the day is over. That every 4 years on a leap year, the Roottrees Company hosts a meeting with foreign agents to conspire to poison our children. The proof is that Roottrees candies contain polyglycerol, polyricinoleate, an ingredient of the candy that wasn't there when it was first released. They claim it is added in an attempt to addict people and eventually induce mind control. The website claims to sell pills to counteract its effect for children and have already eaten Roottrees candy in the past. You do an additional search for polyglycerol. Seems to be an emulsifier in chocolates approved by the FDA and widely used across many products. Yeah, that tracks. Thomas Overwood seems to have a few different sites about mysterious deaths and curses. In addition to the Roottrees curse, you also find out the truth behind Spirit Cola, which claims that Spirit really stands for Satan's plague is returning in 2000. At the year 2000, anyone who has drunk Spirit Cola will die. Another website is Dark Markets and the Devil's Numbers, which claims that if you multiply any stock price by 666, then multiply the current year by that same stock price, then add those two numbers together and divide the entire total by the stock price, and finally subtract the current year. Yeah, I think that's how math works. I can't, yeah, it's too much. Okay. Sir, you got a lot happening. Okay. look up Guy Hudson. Guy Hudson, along with his twin sister, are no strangers to the public when it comes to Roottrees snacks. They both appeared in the company advertisements as children during Boys and Girls Agree. Now, Guy is taking over the Roottrees company at the end of the year. Who would have known that one of these two adorable redheads, Guy credits his mother and father, Angie and Christopher, with providing his fiery due. Arguing over everything but chocolate, would grow up to take over the whole company. Guy's uncle and current president, Zachariah, has decided to take an early retirement to focus on traveling the world with his wife. Zach was quoted as saying, "Now that our daughters have started families of their own, Clara and I plan to reflect on life well lived. Guy is new to the business world, but he's family. We at Roottrees have faith in his innovative ideas, and he's eager to share them with the world. We like to think that Boys and Girls Agree, he's ready to succeed." All right, we got some stuff. Okay. So Angie and Christopher. Angie is on the same level as Lauren. Oh, itchy. Okay. Okay. Although the Butler County Times does not archive their obituaries, they did a front page story in 1982 about Guy Hudson and his wife, Patricia, dying in a car accident. Nope. The story itself is surprisingly light on relevant details due to the recency of the accident. Police reported that the crash was caused by an unidentified driver who swerved in front of the Hudson's car, causing them to brake hard and veer off the interstate. Although Guy was a somewhat controversial president, foul play is not suspected. There are witnesses who reported that the vehicle which instigated the wreck was speeding, swerving between lanes, and cutting off other drivers as well for the last 5 or 6 minutes before the tragic accident. One witness says it could have been any one of us who they eventually ran off the road. The aggressor fled after the accident, and police have few leads other than make and model. Guy had been president of the Roottrees Company for only 4 years, through an undoubtedly volatile period in the company's history. He and his wife had no children. No children. So maybe this. Yeah, it's gonna be that. He was the third. Maybe? I don't know. Oh, he's a redhead. This is him. Mother and father, Angie and Christopher. Lots of Mordens. No, it's not. Oh. Fancy Flavors was an addition to the 5-piece product line for less than a year in 1979. It was Guy Hudson's first and historically most cited move as president of Roottrees. In an attempt to cater more towards what he thought the average person wanted, Guy looked at his own wealth, which was often a source of envy for others, and decided to tap into the idea that they added fancy flavors to 5 pieces. Anyone could live like the wealthy. This philosophy led to a flavor in 5 pieces that was meant to mimic caviar. 5 pieces sold less that year than it had in any other year except in some foreign markets. Very quickly announced that caviar was meant to be limited flavor and would go back to normal as soon as possible. Okay. Boys and girls agree. You find a site about successful ad campaigns. One of the ads listed is from the late 50s. Boys and Girls Agree. It's a series of television and magazine ads for Roottrees chocolate bars. The ad campaign is described as having the premise that boys and girls are often diametrically opposed, except when it comes to one thing. Both of them agree that Roottrees is their favorite. First advertisement in the series was the most memorable due to the bright red hair of the boy and girl involved. One of the magazine advertisements has been added to your advertisement. Boys and girls never agree on anything except Roottrees. Boys and girls agree it's gotta be Roottrees. An ad for Roottrees candy from the late 50s. The ad campaign is described as having the premise of boys and girls. Yeah. So this is this person, right? Okay. Zachariah. 1959, there's a small blurb about Zach Morden, son of James and Gwendolyn Morden and grandson of Elias Roottrees. Great. He's second gen. Nope, he's third gen. He is the second president. His parents are James and Gwendolyn. He's quoted as saying, Elias entrusted me with carrying on his legacy, and that's what I plan to do. Along with 5 pieces, our chocolate maple products are selling incredibly well. We will not be making any changes. Oops. There was something in the diary about Zach. Causal. Okay. She's got 3 younger brothers. Granddad was furious none of his sons would take over as president, but that's what he gets for holding on to it for so long. Architects, preachers, and lawyers, nobody's got time for candy. So with the next 5 pieces refusing to step up, it came down to our next gen. Pop argued that it should stay within our branch of the family since we still have the Roottrees name. Ended up going to Zach. He's the firstborn son of the firstborn 5-piece. Maybe they wanted to go to the only member of the family who looks like he's having a problem, so he's a large man. We have a picture of a large man. This man. Who is it? The 4 of us. So these are her siblings. This is her. So this is her. Those are her siblings. Which means I think this woman yeah. Great. Booyah.
So, you may have heard the news. Some of Carl's things have gone missing. That includes the pictures and mail I brought you earlier. I promise I didn't steal it.
Yeah, sure.
But I did borrow it. I'll return it once we're done. Let me deal with my family in the meantime. Oh, I guess that means I've officially confessed. I'm a root tree. I assure you I have a reasonable explanation for the secrecy. I'm about to do something big the family doesn't approve of. If you could just wait a little bit longer, I'll tell you more. In person. I'll return after 15 more blood relatives.
15 more. Jesus Christo. 10, 12. Do you know where your children are? This is the little ginger kid. Window line tree. Oh, I have a piece of evidence. Yeah, these are her brothers. Window line. Let's look for those singers. James Roottrees. Oh. Danielle Franks. Jane Del Vecchio is listed on a talent for hire site as a wedding singer. Way down in the credentials section of her biography, she mentioned she got her start as a young girl when she was Jane LaRue of the Lucky LaRues. It also mentions the only contact her agent in the event that you actually wish to hire her. Any and all inquiries about her past or her sister would be ignored. Okay. Okay. Yeah. This might be a good place to call it. Save. My brain is a noodle, and I'm gonna go to bed. I'll call my wife. Thanks for hanging out, and it was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to finish. I'll see you later. Bye.